And engage. So yeah, we're boldly going where no one has gone before, and we're not alone. Luckily, I am the captain of this ship, Captain Sullivan. This is Trek Hub, and it's a new venture, a trek, a voyage, if you will, that we're all going on together. And I want to start pushing out weekly discussion content shows. So Trek Hub is the first one of the three that I announced: the Trek Hub and Force Hub and Justice Tonight, which is something me and Devin have wanted to do for a while. But yeah, I'll roll call, as Captain Pike would say. I want to know who I'm going into battle with. So Devin Hawley, our chief engineer, first officer. How you doing? You excited to be here on Trek Hub?
I'm sure you are.
Yeah, I mean, he's very excited. He's not very chatty tonight. Our chief engineer, he's a quiet guy. First officer. This is a first officer that does not go on away team missions, that will not communicate with other species. He's not an ambassador, but he's a great chief engineer, and he's here. So he had to be first officer by default. Our counselor and leader at 10 forward, Dr. Spaceman, Alan.
Alan.
Alan, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Devin has always been a man of action. He is the first officer of action. So while he is doing the action, I'll say the words for him. So being a counselor, I'm going to talk a lot because that's what I love to do. I'm a good listener, and then I'm a good talker and a good motivator. So that's why I wanted to be the counselor, to get people motivated to go out there and do the action that Devin's going to take.
Nice. Yeah, that's really why we're happy that you're here, is because we would try to do these shows before, and it would just be me and Devin, and it would be me talking, and then I asked Devin a question, and then 10 hours later, I'm still sitting here waiting for him. So, okay, are we done? Are we doing this? But so it's great because Devin can be here to provide support where I need it. He can hit the soundboard buttons, and when he has something to say, he'll say it. He doesn't have to feel pressured to say, "Yeah, go ahead, hit that button, do it."
He wants to. That's his.
Do it. Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, you switched a few of them
So
around.
yeah, oh no, we have several different palettes. We have several different ones that are like just 30 different sound bites on one page. So we got
Nice.
the soundboard to the next level, and I almost panicked because we had a little snafu with the soundboard. I broke a DisplayPort cable, and I had to run it through a different wire, as we talked about before the show. But I'd like to go through some news. There's not much news this week.
Mhm.
An interesting story came out that the actors that played Tom Paris and Harry Kim from Star Trek Voyager started their own podcast themselves called the Delta Flyers, which was the name of their ship, their shuttle in Star Trek Voyager. And they said on the podcast that the actor that plays Harry Kim almost killed Harrison Ford by running over him with his car.
Wow.
Harrison Ford, who is indestructible, has been in several plane crashes. So that was under the news feed that I saw. I just typed in Star Trek news because I wanted some stuff. But what do you think of that? They started a podcast the same week as they did. We're kind of
Wow.
following them.
Yeah, but I mean, you've never almost killed Harrison Ford, so.
As far as you know.
Oh, that's very true. That's
J.J.
very
Abrams
true.
dropped a door on him.
Yes, he did.
When the Force Awakens reshoots happened was because they dropped a door on Harrison Ford.
Yep.
And I always thought that episode of Lost, when John Locke gets the door dropped on him, that actually happened to Harrison Ford. It's like JJ had it in mind all along.
Yes, ultimate foreshadowing.
JJ Abrams is a great director, producer of Star Trek movies, and yeah, it did good stuff. But
Mhm.
next bit of news was I don't know if you've seen these images, Alan. I know, Devin, you've seen them, but the animated series that they're working on, Star Trek Lower Decks. This
Lower
is
Decks,
Devin
yeah.
because he likes animated stuff, and it was it the producers of
Rick and Morty?
Yeah, doing a Star Trek show about lower deck personnel, like, so not the elite bridge crew, but the people that are going on routine science missions and that's going to be on CBS All Access as well. So what do you think about that? Does an animated Star Trek show pique your interest at all? And the producers of Rick and Morty, like, how is that going to work? It's going to be funny.
I think it's exciting. It's always a facet of the Star Trek universe world that we don't get to see really, which will be cool. And it reminds me of the was it what are they called, the two stormtroopers, Tad and Bink?
Tad and Bink.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of that vibe, especially with the producers of Rick and Morty doing that. So there'll be some comedy elements to it, I'm sure. But just the fact that we don't really get to see, I mean, our ideal world that the Star Trek universe is in is everybody's equal. Everybody has these, these responsibilities. But there's definitely a kind of a sort of class almost, and especially a group of people that we never get to see, and that is the rank and file, if you will. People that were on the deck. I mean, we called them the red shirts in the original series. I would love to see a show about those people and see what they're going through in their day-to-day struggles.
Because it's really like you see the Enterprise. That's the best of the best of the best. And even that, where they're having their elitist poker matches with the bridge crew. It's like every time I watch this and I see them play poker, I just think the rest of the crew must hate these guys. Like, they're walking around like the cool kids in school. You can't come to our poker tournament. You have to go to your own. You don't even get Guinan. You get the secondary bartender that they had there. And
right. And the fact that they were always around, because every time in Next Generation, when they went into the bar to see Guinan, it was filled with people.
Yeah.
There was so many people that work on that ship, and you never get to see or hear from any of them.
No.
Every now and then they'll throw you one of them, but that's it. Sick bay was always filled with sick people.
Helm was a rotating number of people. The science officer, officially the science officer on the Enterprise, we never got to see. Like, Data would just do his job. And in season 1, when Geordi wasn't even the chief engineer, there was just this revolving conveyor belt of chief engineers that were going in and out, that Geordi just does their job for them.
Just does it for them.
Crew 1000 on the Enterprise D.
Crew of 1000.
1000.
Yes, Crew of 1000, and a lot of it is empty because everybody that we ever see has a window. Many windows in their quarters. And another thing was that the short treks, we were talking about the short treks before. You hadn't seen those yet. I'll make sure I get them to you in some way or shape or form so that you can watch those short treks, because there are a couple animated ones. One of them is directed by Michael Giacchino, who does the Star Trek movies.
Yeah,
kind of like a silent animation thing where it's like a tardigrade and a robot, and it kind of takes you through the events of there was some narration, and the it takes you through the events of the Enterprise. So the NCC 1701 blank, not the Enterprise A. So up until Search for Spock, it just kind of takes you along, fast forwards with these two animated characters. He just dropped a little Matchbox car, but
I didn't see it.
Yeah, it was a Kylo Ren Hot Wheels car, actually. It wasn't. But what's good about those short treks is there is an episode where you see it's like a rookie captain played by Rosa Salazar, Alita Battle Angel. And she goes in and she's on a small science ship and has one of the worst Starfleet officers of all time on there, played by
Archer,
the guy that plays Archer on Archer and Bob's Burgers.
Bob Burgers.
Yeah, I can't think of his name right now.
They called him Edward.
Question, but it's all about kind of tribbles a little bit. It's kind of a tribble origin story.
Or he made them.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
No.
It's interesting, but
I want to see it.
There's 3 of them that have Captain Pike. There's another one where Captain Pike is interviewing a cadet. And then there's a third one where it's Spock and number 1 on an elevator. And that's kind of the whole short trek. And it kind of gives you a flavor for what Turbolift, gives you some flavor of kind of the dynamic that we're going to have between Spock and number 1. It kind of hints at maybe a potential romance between them during the series. And that's our main topic tonight, was that we were going to talk about Strange New Worlds and what we wanted to see. So I don't want to go into that too much right now, but I the animated Star Trek show is definitely something we all want to see. I mean, we were
Yeah,
watching
for sure.
the Star Trek animated series with Leonard Nimoy and William
Mhm.
Shatner provided the voices for it.
Michelle Nichols,
Yeah.
Walter Koenig,
We know the cast of Star Trek.
James
Devin.
Doohan, DeForest Kelly.
Hey,
So
he's talking. That's all that matters. Keep it going.
statistics. So the third bit of news, the third news story was that this was no surprise to me. It was reported that Jonathan Frakes would be directing episodes of
Mhm.
Strange New Worlds.
That makes sense.
It makes sense because he's directed every single Star Trek series since Next Generation. He
Yeah.
directed my favorite Star Trek movie, Star Trek First Contact. So anytime you get like the director of my favorite Star Trek movie to direct more Star Trek on the Enterprise, it's a thumbs up for me. Obviously, he's not going to appear as Riker in that
Mhm.
series, but
Yeah.
we're going to see that. But Papa West is coming in, so.
Oh,
Hey.
hey.
So, Spaceman, before we get any further, the Jonathan Frakes news. You excited to see him?
Yeah,
direct?
definitely excited.
He's
Yeah, I like his directing style of a lot of the episodes of other series. First Contact is not my favorite of the Trek films, but I think it's one of the better directed ones. So I think, seeing him direct anything Trek related, especially on the Enterprise, he obviously knows that area and knows that ship very, very well. So it'll be cool to see what new visual flair that he'll do combined with stuff that he's used to doing. So it'll be cool.
Yeah, and he's directed. I thought he directed some of the best, one of the best episodes this past season of Picard, at least in my opinion. There were some people that really hated this episode, but I loved it because it was really old school Trek, and it was an episode where they went in and they infiltrated. Like it was the first like 7 of 9 episode, and they were kind of undercover, and there was a Deanna Troi, a doppelganger actress, but that episode was directed by Jonathan Frakes, and I thought that felt like Star Trek to me because it was kind of filler, but I watched that episode at any time without any of the grander storyline, having to understand that and get invested in that. So, and he directed episodes of Discovery as well. So he's still involved in Star Trek, and he was in 2 of the episodes of Picard.
Picard, yeah.
He's always been there in Star Trek, and he'll probably direct some of the animated episodes too if they haven't already announced that. But I think Jacob's still getting his audio.
Looks like he's getting set up still. There he is.
I got my audio. No, I am setting up a washer and dryer right now.
Oh, look at that.
Yes,
He's doing real stuff.
I'm just
Impressive.
like Captain Kirk in Star Trek Generations doing manual labor.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Well, happy Father's Day, Papa.
Father's Day to both of you.
Yeah.
Happy Father's Day to you too, Alan.
Thanks. I got some gluten-free items because I'm gonna go gluten-free. I think so. I got some of those items. Hey, we'll see what happens.
So what about this gluten-free food? Is this Enterprise worthy? Or was it replicated?
You know what?
Enterprise is gluten-free.
Apparently it's all gluten-free, but we never really heard about nutrition on the Enterprise. Everything was just kind of phased in, not phased in, but replicated in.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows what they were eating? I just loved, that was one of my favorite things about the Next Generation was that they just walked up, this, okay, boom, it just showed up. I went, it's going to be like that in the future, and we're quite a ways from that still.
We're almost there. We're almost to the Irish unification of 2024, so that's coming up.
You got to remember when all this stuff was going on, no one cared about what they put in their body. So the last thing you was think about it in the Star Trek world.
That's very true.
Counselor Troy does have there's one episode where the episode begins, and I think it's an episode where Loxana visits, and but the episode she's talking to the replicator, and she says, "I want a real chocolate sundae, not one of your fat-free, nutritional, perfectly proportioned. I want a real chocolate sundae." And the replicator's like, "Please enter the molecular structure of the specified." And which is ironically enough the voice of her mother.
Yep. I remember that. Nice. Good callback.
Good job, Barrett.
Yes. So, I mean, that was the Jonathan Frakes news. Jacob, you excited to see Jonathan Frakes direct more Star Trek?
I'm a big fan of Jonathan Frakes. To be honest, though, I have not been watching Picard because I'm not paying for CBS All Access right now. But here's one of my favorite parts in the Next Generation. So
Yeah.
I'm sure once, if I ever like bootleg it or pay for CBS All Access, I'll watch it and then I'll enjoy it.
You can come to my house and watch it here in a way or shape or form. We'll figure it out. We will get you guys to watch those shows, even if I have to pay for it myself. Damn it. So yeah, that was our news. Those were the 3 news stories this week. Maybe more news when they actually start shooting things on the bridge of the Enterprise. Star Trek Discovery Season 3, I think it's still to be determined. They said it was originally supposed to be back in January, I think, and then they pushed it back to May, and then it pushed back to June. So July,
it already
maybe.
filmed?
It's already filmed. I think they're finishing visual effects, but they may want to do like 1 or 2 reshoots because they always reshoot that show and they always go way over budget. But
just making damn sure that the fans will take it right.
So the main topic we had tonight was Strange New Worlds. It's a spin-off of Star Trek Discovery. It's going to have the characters that we saw in that show that were on the Enterprise. Captain Pike, Spock, Number 1, and the Enterprise before Kirk was captain. And what I think is funny about and ironic about this show is that this is Gene Roddenberry's original vision for Star Trek, is because there was that original pilot, The Cage, that had Captain Pike as captain of the Enterprise, Number 1 in front as the first officer, and Spock was a science officer who at that time in that first episode wasn't as emotionally suppressed.
Yeah,
so it kind of carried that over to Discovery and in those short treks a little bit, where he's showing emotions more than any other Vulcan has, and they're a little bit put off by it because it's like, aren't you Vulcan? Why are you so happy? So what makes me think is going to happen there is that something tragic is going to happen to the crew of the Enterprise. We already know that somehow Pike gets horribly disfigured from what we saw in the original series, and we don't know what happens to Number 1. I don't think they give us an endpoint. So this show is probably going to end in some sort of tragedy, but it's about the journey there, really, because it's one of those things where I don't know how big of a spoiler this is for Discovery, but Pike knows. Pike kind of had a vision into the future, so he knows where he's going, and he's still choosing to go there. So he's still choosing to be the best captain in Starfleet, and
it's the journey that counts.
It's the journey that counts, and it's just that his performance. Anson Mount, he played Black Bolt on that Inhumans show that he couldn't talk in, but he's incredible as Captain Pike, and he's slowly becoming my favorite captain in all of Star Trek, even past Picard, because he's just so cool. Like, he's everything you want Picard to be, everything you wanted Kirk to be, rolled into one. He embodies the best of Starfleet, and I just can't wait to see this show. Is this a show that you're excited to watch? Like, if you can get access to it, no pun
get
intended.
access to it. Yeah, but I'm actually more interested in this one than I was really Discovery. And I did see the whole first season of Discovery. And then what I really want to see, because I've always been intrigued by Pike as a character, especially my favorite version of Pike is 2009's Star Trek.
Greenwood. Yeah,
Bruce Greenwood was
great.
The best. He was beautiful, man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I absolutely loved his portrayal of Pike.
Like a father to Kirk. It was great.
Yeah. But what I really want to see is how the Enterprise gets to that legendary status. You know what I mean? And if it's through because of, Pike's ability to take command of it, and why it becomes, it's not just because maybe it's just because that ship's the fastest or that ship's the this and that. But we know in other series that other ships have been, they're actually faster than or better than or that more equipped than. So I want to see what makes the Enterprise that legendary status, that excitement, and that oh my gosh, he can do really anything. To see that, because Kirk always had, I got to live up to this or I got to live up to that. So I want to see that. I want to see that from that with the ship in mind. And I want the title to be true. I want to see Strange New Worlds, stuff we haven't seen. I still wanted to stay close to that Star Trek, Discovery, haha, but discovering new places. But I want to see things that, not just, oh, these are humanoids that do this or these are that. I'd love to see they go to a world of amoebas, or they go to a world that's all cerebral and we can't understand what's happening. I'd like to see David Lynch come in and direct some of these episodes to really kind of go nuts. But I'm looking forward to it, and I hope they stick true to giving us something strange.
Yeah, strange. Yeah, strange is right there in the title.
Yeah.
Papa West, Strange New Worlds. What are your thoughts on it? Just give me what you have.
Alan, I'm in the same boat as you. I definitely want to see something new. I know you do have to stay kind of close to everything, but definitely with expanding Admiral Pike, because he's also a character we don't know that much about. Why is he the Admiral of Starfleet? And so definitely having this series, get to know about him, get to know about the Enterprise, like you were saying, Alan.
Yeah,
it should be good.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't even think that we're going to see him get like promoted in because I think that's one of the things they did show when he had the vision in Discovery, was that he was Admiral when like the accident happens, and I'm sure they'll reshoot that and show it in a different way. It was a vision, so it was meant to be vague and open ended. But I think there's a good 3-4 years in between where they left it on Discovery and where he gets injured. So what I think will happen is that, and we could see before that too, because Spock and Number One, they were on the Enterprise before that as well. Short treks. One of the short treks takes place on Ensign Spock's first day. So it's essentially Spock's first day on the Enterprise, and he meets Number One. That's the turbo lift one, and we see them develop a relationship there. And then when we see him on Discovery, he's Lieutenant Spock. He's the science officer on the bridge crew of the Enterprise, and so he's not first officer yet. He doesn't become first officer until Kirk takes over as captain. Bobby, you seem like you just accomplished something there.
He did. You just threw your hands up, Papa. What happened?
I plugged it in.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, nice. Power, everyone.
Plugged it in, baby. That's after battle.
So, fun little story in the Papa West life. The first time I ever put a dryer together, dang it, that's all picked up there. I had to get a power cord for it because my dad shorted out the original one. So I'm holding the power cord. I'm looking at the dryer. I'm looking at the outlet. And I literally go, how does this plug into the outlet?
Oh.
Without connecting it in. So I have the connector that goes into the dryer in my hand. I have the outlet. And I plug it in.
And it worked?
No.
And he's dead.
I thought you were going to get electrocuted at the end of that story.
There's a great big flash. The power went out. And my hand was black. So, yeah. I'm surprised they don't have electrical powers yet. So,
either a chief engineer.
Here's hoping. Keep going.
Yes.
That's one of the coolest things about Star Trek that I just don't think about enough, and that people don't talk about enough, is the Earth travel because of transporters. They could just like that revolutionizes Earth even without having to leave the planet. I want to go to Hawaii. I jump in a transporter and I'm there.
Right. And you're there.
Like we could be doing this all in the same room right now.
France,
and
to
then,
San Francisco,
and then get back home for dinner.
Yep.
So it's just one of those things that I hope that technology really gets to that point. But back on the topic of Strange New Worlds, I'm sorry, did you have something?
Well, actually, it would be interesting to see if that transporter technology is exclusively for Starfleet, right? So maybe average neighborhood, they don't have those.
Well, we see civilians using it on Picard.
I guess that's true. But maybe it's not as readily available, right? In some neighborhoods, they don't have them. But because that would be interesting to see. Because if I could just, you know what? I would love to have some Chicago pizza from Chicago. I'm just gonna go get in the transporter, show up there, eat dinner, boom, come back. Cool. Yeah.
And shuttles are a lot like one of the short treks that showed kids getting on a school bus, and they were getting on a shuttle that went somewhere else, like further away.
Nice.
So Strange New Worlds, another one of the short treks was two of them were possible characters that I hope could appear on Strange New Worlds. One of them was Alita Battle Angel, Rosa Salazar. She plays like this. She was a science officer that gets promoted to captain and then has a bad week. So she's probably going to end up back on the Enterprise as far as like her career path goes in canon. And I really liked her in Alita Battle Angel. And I think that that's like one of those actresses you could pull to the show that's not too big yet, but that's big enough that might draw eyes. No pun intended, because she had big eyes. I didn't even recognize her first on that short track because it's like, oh yeah, it does kind of look like her, but no, it was actually her.
It was her.
And then another one was this cadet that Pike was interviewing, sort of for a job on the Enterprise, and it's a good little episode. I could show you those as well.
Nice, yeah. I'll check those out.
It sets up the tone for what the show's going to be. It shows you the set. Like, the set is beautiful. It looks like the Enterprise, but expanded, because, you know, with the original series, all we ever saw was that kind of narrow corner of the hallway where you wouldn't really ever see the full hallway of the first Enterprise. But with this set, they built out a whole thing. So it was always inevitable that they were going to do this show.
Does the design kind of look retro in a way, since it is supposedly a pre? Yeah.
It's like so it looks like, as far as color, as far as design, it looks closer. The interior looks closer to original series, but with the Abrams shine to it.
Nice.
So
cool.
everything's shiny, everything's lens flares. It looks like that Enterprise if J.J. Abrams made a movie that wasn't in the Calvin tip.
That wasn't in nice. Nice. Well, that'll be exciting then.
Yeah, it'll be a good show. And number one, that's a character I'm really excited to see more of. She was asked to state her name for the record, and she responded, "Number one." Are we done here? Wait,
so are we ever going to find out what her name is?
I think they did tell us, hint at it in the Turbo Lift episode of the short treks, but it was always just number one in the Cage pilot. It was just credited as number one. So we never actually learned her name in the original series.
I believe she was played by Michelle Barrett as well.
She was played by Michelle Barrett. That's Gene Roddenberry's wife, and the computer voice Loxana Troy. She played her in the original Cage pilot. But yeah, that was what we had for like. Unless you guys have like more that you want to see from the Pike series, I got like a list of topics we could go down if there's
yeah, that's as far as the Pike series. That's about what I had mentioned before is what I really want to see and check out. I would love to see that. Those attributes.
Yeah. So a question. Well, kind of. This is something early in the show that we can do to get people to like know us in our like first episode here. Who's your favorite Star Trek character? Like, I think that's one of a question that you can really learn a lot about a person by like, who's your favorite Star Trek character? It doesn't have to be, but you could just ask who's your favorite Star Trek captain if you even wanted to go there. But yeah, favorite Star Trek character. I mean, there's Worf, who's been on the most episodes of any other character. There's Picard, who's just this awesome, strong captain, had 2 shows centering around him. I think there's Data. Data, the more I rewatched Next Generation, the more I just love Data. So I don't know. Devin.
I'm going to cut y'all short. I have to head out. Y'all have fun.
All right.
Well, it's good to see you, brother.
Thanks for talking with us. So, yeah, Alan, we'll go to you while Devin thinks about his answer.
Thinks about.
We don't know how long that's going to take.
Well, this is it's kind of a hard question because it depends on the episode, depends on the series, depends on the movie. Because I've got so many favorite characters. The original, I'm a Kirk guy. I'm a Shatner Kirk guy, 100%. From the Next Generation, I really love Worf, and I really love Geordi.
Geordi.
I love the way Geordi attacked the problem because he was really introspective, but it didn't hamper him into making decisions. He still was able to make decisions. And I always thought because he evaluated every single aspect. And I really love that about Geordi. For Insurrection, the movie Insurrection, one of my favorite parts of that is Geordi and his ability. My favorite scene is when his eyes come back and he can see the sunrise. It's such a brilliant moment for that character, and LeVar Burton's acting ability in that is just it's stupendous.
Patrick Stewart with him, like you just know in that moment how much that means to him.
Yeah,
and then like the next scene when like they're going to save the Baku, and but like Geordi says, you really think I could ever look at another sunrise again without thinking about what I took from these people?
What I took from these people, yeah. It's amazing,
it means
man.
so much to him, but he's still not willing to like sacrifice the principles of Starfleet, everything he learned from Picard, everything he learned on the Enterprise to get
exactly.
Geordi.
Yeah,
Geordi's an underrated character.
I've always loved Geordi because he's always done the right thing and always attacks things not from impulse based, but from impulse, but from careful consideration of every part of every fact of everything. I just love his decision making skills, and he's just been a great character always.
Geordi once created the engineer that built the warp core on the Enterprise on the holodeck and to solve a problem. And then he made out with her. And we don't know how many times he went back to that program.
Right?
And then
he probably did multiple times.
And she didn't fit his expectations. So it's just one of those things. Geordi is great. It's just that's one of those things. Every time I see that episode, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the episode where Geordi kissed the hologram.
Kissed the hologram girl.
Because that's what
you got to think about. Geordi at heart is a big old nerd. So even though there's 1,000 people on that ship, the good guys always fail. They always finish last. So
do you think Geordi ever found love?
I hope so. I think he did. I hope so. I really hope so.
He was hitting on Guinan at Riker and Troy's wedding.
He
was. You ever think of getting married again?
Yeah, but Guinan's not the one for him. Guinan said
I think 23 was my limit.
Yeah, I think honestly, and why am I blanking on her name? But Gates McFadden, the doctor, what's her name? Beverly Crusher. Beverly Crusher. That because she was always, I thought, we're just going off who is always the hottest of all the characters. Hands down, boom, Gates McFadden.
She's got a quality about her like that I'm watching those episodes and I'm like, yeah, but like I would be friends with Wesley Crusher just so that I could
with his
Wesley's mom has got it going on. That's
right. That's right.
That's actually my biggest question that we haven't had answered on Picard yet, even after a full season. Where's Beverly? Where is Beverly? It's killing me because I need to know, because the series finale of Next Generation, they show you a glimpse into a possible future. He married Beverly, Picard married Beverly, and then they got divorced and she became captain of a science vessel. So is she still alive? Did they get married and then split up? Is she captain of something? I'm worried. Like, if Beverly's dead, I don't think She's
probably dead. She's probably dead. Let's be honest. She probably dead. Unless, what happens.
They have announced Will Wheaton is going to appear on the show.
He's going to appear?
Wesley.
Yeah, and they said Whoopi would be back to play Guinan next season.
Nice.
And that Robert Picardo, who played the Doctor on Voyager.
Doctor on Voyager, yeah.
Which is natural because, 7 of 9, one of the best parts of Picard once you get a chance to watch it. That's another character that's on my short list, 7 of 9.
Oh, she's awesome. And I saw the still images, the photos, and she looks the same. She doesn't age, so.
I never thought it would be. would be possible for her to be cooler than she was, but she got so much cooler. Like she's
Nice.
she's not as rational as she's not as like mathematical as she used to be. She's more human. She's more human, and she's damaged. So
Nice.
and you see that a lot, and it's the best she's ever been, because I loved Seven on Voyager. I liked the Borg, like just cold and calculated, almost Vulcan-like.
Mm-hmm.
But she had to evolve the character for this show, and that's a lot of things that I was saying again. Like Riker was a great character on Next Generation, but I don't think that character would work on a show today. Like, I don't think the way that he was just like Boy Scout, just everything, yes. I don't think that character works on television today. So they kind of have to evolve him a little bit too, where it's not just Riker being the best ever, but he has his struggles. These characters, after what happens in Nemesis, they go through some stuff. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. Short list of characters though. Worf's one of my favorite just because of exposure. Like, we've seen so much of Worf with Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. Jadzia Dax. I love Jadzia Dax. She was the Trill she had a Trill symbiote, and it was like her 5th or 6th, 7th life. And it was Worf's wife on Deep Space Nine.
It's 9. Yeah.
They had other like iterations of Dax, but that was Jadzia Dax. Just
Esri was number 9.
Yeah.
Jadzia was 8.
The way that character
Curzon was 7.
In the 90s, she was so ahead of her time.
Mm.
But like, there's an episode where she meets her wife from a past life, from when she was a man, and it's a brilliant episode because it's in the 90s, like it's mid 90s, and they're not mentioning like the taboo about it isn't, oh, she's kissing a woman, you can't get with the woman. The taboo about it was, no, this was your wife in another life. You guys aren't allowed to do that. You're not allowed to rejoin with somebody after.
Like, the whole point of it is to get new experiences.
Yeah. And they were worried that would just cripple the culture. But it's one of the most brilliant episodes in Star Trek. And Beverly has a similar experience where she meets a Trill. She falls in love with the Trill man. And then his host dies. The symbiote goes into Riker for a short amount of time in Next Generation. And it was before they had the spots. They were ridges, not spots in that episode for some reason. And she bangs Riker, who has the Trill in him, for lack of a better term. And then the episode ends with the Trill getting a new host, which is a woman. And then Beverly's like, I just don't think that humanity has that capacity to love yet. But that
achieved symbiosis.
She's achieved symbiosis. But then I think that's funny because a few years later, they did the opposite of that on Deep Space Nine, where they had Dax and this other one. So Dax is one of my favorite characters too. Picard, engage, make it so. Those were all my catchphrases as a kid. I had an action figure that said all of them. It's like Captain's Log Supplemental, tea, Earl Grey, hot. So many great catchphrases.
Tea, Earl Grey.
Yes. It's good stuff. It's a full flavored tea. It gets you caffeinated. I like it with sugar. And sugar. Data. The more I rewatch Next Generation, the way that they portrayed Data is he's a machine trying to be human, but he's more human than any of them.
I think my favorite Data moment, honestly, is in most people's least favorite film, but Generations. I love Data and LaForge in that movie.
Yeah. Oh,
I love it.
Shit.
Yeah, I absolutely love it.
That's and that's another thing we can talk about with the CBS All Access is that they can swear and be crass on Star Trek now.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I'm okay with swearing on Star Trek as long as it fits. So Data in Generations, when he says, oh shit, it fits so well. Like
that fits right there. Yeah. He fits that part fits.
Oh,
and he's in crisis and he's crashing. Oh shit, it's perfect. And then Spot at the end of that movie, he finds Spot like I'm on the wreckage of the Enterprise. He starts crying.
Yeah, he starts crying because he's happy and he doesn't understand it. Yeah, it's great stuff. And I love the moment when he's afraid, when he's the first and he says, "I don't think I can do this." Because I think this is fear, and LaForge is right there with him, and I love that moment. It's
Picard
just
gives
kind
a
of
great speech, like you must.
Picard, you must,
I'm ordering you to do it. I'm ordering you.
Yeah, he's in the stellar cartography.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's talk about that scene when you were first in a movie theater. How awesome is that scene visually? The stellar cartography room, and it's just you see all this. Oh my god!
Again.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's beautiful. I really like that movie. I'm sorry. I let a lot of people trash it, but I really enjoy that film a lot. It's a rewatchable one for sure.
Yeah. Oh, so it's as an episode of Next Generation, as the series finale of Next Generation, it's perfect. It caps off the Enterprise D. There's that great moment where Riker's like fire. There's the oh shit. It's Kirk and Picard in the Nexus. The Enterprise B situation at the beginning. I think people's disappointment with that was more that you're advertising us Kirk and Picard teaming up,
and then you kill Kirk.
And then you kill Kirk, and
then you go Kirk.
Kill Kirk. It's how you kill Kirk. If it was more of a sacrifice, like he was trying to
sacrificed,
saved a lot of people. But if it made it more like Data in Nemesis.
In Nemesis,
where Data does a direct action that obliterates him, but saves all of his friends, all of his family, saves all of humanity.
Yeah.
Give me that with Kirk, but have him succeed. So like he was trying to reach it and he didn't reach it, and that or he did, but then he just kind of falls on this
ladder thingy. Yeah.
Secondary, it's a secondary injury. He doesn't die because he saved the people. He died because that thing was horribly constructed. But
it was compromised.
Yeah, it was just severely internal bleeding and all that stuff. And they don't even try it because they mentioned several times that people can be resuscitated within 2 hours.
Oh, within 2 hours, yeah, of course.
Try with him. No. Beam him up. Come on, save him.
Beam him up, save him. But
wasn't there like an episode of The Flash where they were literally outside of a hospital when somebody died?
Yeah,
that's just that not just on Star Trek. Every show has a problem with this. When they choose to try to resuscitate somebody, and when they try not to, especially on the medical dramas, because somebody comes in to the hospital, oh, they're dead. It's like all you did was check their pulse. You
didn't do anything else.
In the other room, they're like, come on, don't die on me, come on, and they're doing all this stuff to say it's just plot armor. It's writing. But Generations is a vastly underrated movie because that crash sequence where they crash on the planet is entirely practical. Like they used models for that, and it took ILM like months to do that because they had to create it, and then they had to create the virtual like the little environment with all the fake trees and stuff. That's really
and
good
the
stuff.
set when the set gets destroyed and they're being thrown around that damn thing, it's really cool. This is a really cool, intense crash. You feel it,
Picard's family, like everything that happens, that burned to death in fire.
Yeah.
And he has that moment with Counselor Troy. Great stuff in that movie. And LaForge, they use like LaForge's visor against him, and then the next movie he doesn't have the visor anymore.
Yeah.
Kind of something they never explained is why he did away with the visor, because he was always so against getting rid of the visor.
The replants, yeah.
But like the movies after that,
they finally showed him that it could be
good enough. Yeah.
That the visor was vulnerable to attack.
Yeah. And I think
replacing it with something that would be less susceptible.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it's harder to remove somebody's eyeballs, but that's also they'd still do it. So yeah, violence in Star Trek is something that I'm okay with as well, because there's some pretty horrific scenes. And the thing I like the best about Generations is everybody says that The Final Frontier is the worst Star Trek movie. Why does God need a starship? Well, the Final Frontier is the best. It's 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 the But
Mhm.
my favorite scene in that movie is the beginning of the movie where they're just rock climbing, they're camping, and then Kirk falls and Spock saves him.
Yep.
And they get back to the ground, and Kirk says that he knows that when he dies, it'll be
He'll die alone.
because
Yeah.
Spock and Bones aren't there.
Yeah.
And then Spock and Bones, the two he had that conversation with, they're not there on the Enterprise B when he dies.
Like they
And
aren't
it's
Yeah.
because
even
they
on
weren't there. Yeah. So I just thought that made another movie better. So it's not a bad movie, but my favorite character is probably Picard. Like going back to it, but I'd say Picard, Data, and Jadzia Dax. Captain Pike is getting there. Captain Archer from Enterprise doesn't get enough,
Enterprise.
in my opinion. He's really good. Trip was another good character on that show, and 7 of 9. So that's my short list. Not very short, but it's hard to just pick one character. Devin, you
Yeah.
got any you really love? I know you.
So, when you first posed the question, the first character that popped into my head was Dr. Phlox from Enterprise.
Oh,
And everybody hates it. You seem to hate it.
so annoying.
Like it, like seeing a non-human doctor was quite interesting. Like it was something that I hadn't seen before, and it was the only one at the time. Lower Decks is going to have some kind of cat creature for their doctor, but like it's
Cat
really
creature.
unique. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't remember the name of the character.
Wow,
But-
that's horrific.
Interesting.
That's something you could probably only do in animation, though.
Probably.
On the animated series, they had all those aliens on the bridge.
The original animated series.
The original. Yeah.
Animated characters. One of them looks like Commander Saru from Discovery.
Hmm.
Another one is literally just a cat woman. Like she's a cat.
Cat
Lady.
person face. Yeah.
It's like a bird. I think they
Bird person.
bird person or bird.
No,
man.
that's not.
Yeah, they call it Birdman. It's like human. He says human to a woman, and then the woman responds, Birdman. Yeah. But that's so. What's your favorite Star Trek movie, Alan?
Oh man, I really love 6, Undiscovered Country. I really love that movie. I really love. I mean, 2009. I really love that movie. I think as far as just rewatchability, I'm gonna go Undiscovered Country and nice. Yes.
Animated.
Nice.
They're working on Lower Decks.
That's awesome.
Undiscovered Country in 2009.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah, my favorite is gonna be definitely Undiscovered Country and 2009 are my two favorites.
Yeah, mine are. I like First Contact.
Voyage Home.
Voyage Home's so good too.
Voyage Home
Voyage
is great.
So ridiculous. That movie shouldn't be as good as it is. When
No,
you
it
hear
really
the
shouldn't.
movie, it's laughable. But
Well,
then when
oh, yeah.
you're watching it, and the end of the movie, you just see Spock in the water, and he just has this. He's so happy.
He's so
laughing.
happy.
It's just that's one of the things that Bones like. It makes it seem like Bones hates Spock. Bones loves Spock. He just wants Spock to be happy. That's all he wants for Spock.
That's all he ever wanted. That's all he ever wanted was Spock to laugh.
So in Voyage Home, you get that, and they're like children just splashing in the water, and they saved Earth by saving the whale. And it's
Yeah.
one of those things we see on Star Wars Rebels. Is they have the space whales where like they have the hyperspace whales, and they save
Mhm.
them. Later, the hyperspace whales. Star Trek Rebels. That's a show about the Maquis.
Yeah,
Like, if
about
they
the
made
Maquis.
Star Trek Rebels. That'd be hardcore.
That would be.
But and I like Into Darkness. I know that's kind of blasphemy for some
I don't
people.
think so. I really love the end of, as far as not the end where they do the switcheroo, but I love the battle with what I can't remember the character's name, but the commander on the
Admiral Marcus.
Marcus. Yes, I really love all that stuff. because Marcus was just so I don't give a. This is my.
No.
I'm doing it,
Section
and I love
31.
that the ship design. What was that ship called?
It was
The
the Vengeance.
yeah, I fucking love that ship.
Section 31 Dreadnought.
Yeah, it was awesome. I like Into Darkness, but if I'm gonna watch, if I'm just in the mood to watch one of the Abrams one, I'm gonna watch the original, the 2009.
It's cool how they all get there too. How they all like
Yeah.
get into their positions. Like people die.
Yep.
People, it's all by coincidence and circumstance that they just so
Yep.
happen to be. They get there way faster than they should because they wanted a young cast and But it's just so cool. I always say J.J. Abrams makes movies for me. Well,
Yeah.
I've never seen one of his movies that I didn't like. We got into it last night on After Dark about
Yeah.
the Star
Right.
Wars movies, and I unapologetically love everything that J.J. Abrams does for movies. TV, he's had some
He's had some pitfalls.
mishaps.
But
You
yeah,
may
I
or may
agree.
not
I think
show that had some of those mishaps.
maybe. But I think he's a good storyteller. I like the way he tells stories.
Visuals.
I think visually he's fantastic. I think pace, you can say a little fast, but I think it's paced right. I don't think he wastes a lot of time. And I really appreciate that. Because the 2009, he makes us forget about how much we had baggage with the original crew.
Yes.
Those
Yeah.
actors. He makes us, you know what? It's okay. You can love this new set of actors and these new characters that are the same characters, but new actors and new energy.
Yeah.
And it's all because of the way he filmed them, the pace at which he filmed them. I love Zoe. She is one of my favorite actors on the planet. Gamora is my favorite MCU character, period, hands down, no question. And her Uhura is absolutely fantastic and beautiful and brilliant. And she got way more personality.
Yeah.
She's feisty as hell. She'll, she's stubborn when she needs to be, compassionate when she needs to be. It's just, she's perfect. And I really love every scene that she's in that 2009. I just love it. I absolutely love it.
And Spock is a cadet. Like she's like, no, I'm on the Enterprise.
Right? I mean, the way she does it, she just boom, okay, and she's awesome. Her attitude is perfect.
And I like the relationship with her and Spock. I know there are people that are crazy about that, but I like it because
I like it.
Spock at a different time where he didn't serve with Captain Pike as long. It's a different thing. He may not have ever been in love with number one, and maybe she died. Who knows yet?
Right? We don't know.
But with Spock and with Kirk, I love the origin point for this is where things change. There was a wormhole at this point. They came back in time, and Kirk's father died. So there's all this
made
stuff.
the Enterprise
they made the Enterprise
bigger.
more of a tank.
They essentially made the Enterprise A instead of the Enterprise.
Yeah, because the Enterprise, it was like the Enterprise refit, like the first refit, and they so they had that, and I like that it's not a sequel, but it's also not a reboot. It's a soft reboot.
It's a soft reboot. Yeah,
still continuing the story. That's one of the biggest things in Picard. Is everything with the Romulus supernova that Spock was trying to prevent. That's like a key point in Picard that Picard he became admiral to lead an evacuation of Romulus during the supernova. So while Spock was trying to stop the supernova from happening, Picard was saving all these Romulans. So it gives you what, like you said, they set up in the original Next Generation when he met Spock on Romulus. But as far as it doesn't end the old timeline, but it starts its own. So it started its own continuity that they can do. And it really makes you think because Idris Elba in Beyond is one of those characters that came before. Came before George Kirk died. So technically, he's part of both.
He's part of that, yeah.
So Idris could show up on Picard, and they have to fight that guy. I would love it if that happened.
That would be cool.
But they do such a good job at introducing Leonard Nimoy, too. Like, we're not going to have all of the original cast back, but Leonard Nimoy is going to be back as Ambassador Spock. And Spock is going to be different than he was, but he's going to have a mentor of older Spock. And what they do with him in the later movies, like I think in Beyond, when young Spock finds out that Ambassador Spock has died,
Yeah,
it's a great moment because he
it is a
looks
great moment.
at a picture of him and his friends. Like
Yeah.
it was a picture from the Wrath of Khan.
Yep.
But
Which is
Undiscovered,
cool.
I like that you brought up Undiscovered Country because I can't think of that movie without mentioning Worf.
Yep.
Why was Worf in that movie?
Because they needed a sort of little cameo thingy.
Yeah. I get it. It's like, and the producers or the writers of the movie were like, they clearly didn't see the Next Generation because they're like, oh, well, it's his father.
Yeah,
No,
it's his
Worf's
dad.
son
No,
of
it's
Moog. He's son of Moog. He says it every single day.
he says it all the time.
So it's like,
Son
okay,
of
maybe
Worf.
it's his great. So he's Worf, son of Moog, son of Worf.
Son of War. Why not? What the
That's just
heck?
one of the things, and this is one of the things I do like about Generations, which you mentioned before, is that Commander Tuvok is on the Enterprise B.
Yeah,
So Commander Tuvok is on the Enterprise B. Don't
he's
worry
on
about
on the.
stealing my phone.
He's stealing your phone.
Rubber was off. But yeah, I think that those are good movies. Devin, you haven't chimed in. What's your favorite Star Trek movie? Well,
He's in deep thought.
Illogical. Engage.
Well,
okay. That's one of my
He's
favorite-
almost there. He's almost there.
First Contact. I know you love the Phoenix. Zephyr Cochrane.
playing Magic Carpet Ride, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. He loves the Steppenwolf in there.
Hey,
Steppenwolf on
it
the-
was better there than in Justice League.
Beat me by 1 second.
Alan.
Yeah, I gotta get that. You and Adam both. I need to get that boom.
Gotta
I
have
I guess I got that for you.
That works.
2 drums and a cymbal fall off a cliff. But
I got the
Boom.
So yeah, I guess that's kind of like I wanted to keep this kind of short form. Well, not short form, but long form, like an hour. Not as long as we do our After Dark shows.
Cool.
But these questions like this and more, like I hope you'll join us again for this. I don't know what
For
night
sure.
we'll do our Star Wars show, but we can do that too. And that's what I kind of just want to do is just pick out topics. I've got like a list of different like questions, like just existential Star Trek questions that we can ask. Like, are androids people? Like that's one that I want to tackle at some point.
Nice. That's a good question.
Like things about Romulans, like, and just like these little like short list things, like who's the best villains, who's the best hero, who's the best captain, who's the best bad admiral, like all these different things. But we can do that another night, and I was happy to do this. So, Alan, why don't you tell people where the good people can find you?
Well, good people can find me hopefully on more of these episodes on the After Dark on TMG. Any of the trivia things I'm out there doing. Also, I'm the one of the commissioners of Nerd Fights. So if you're wanting to nerd fight, you got to come over, talk to me, and we'll get you in a nerd fight. And just around other places. And if you're ever in Hawaii, you know, whenever this pandemic finishes, then I'll show you around the island.
Yeah, sounds good. And you are, of course, Counselor Alan, a blue shirt, and also the bartender at 10 Forward. And we got Chief and First Officer
Alan.
Oh no, Alan. Okay, I forgot to push it. It's hard to do the sound bites while you're also going around and doing the roll. All right, First Officer, Chief of Engineering, Devin. Where can't people find you?
People can find me on scratch.mit.edu at Headway 13.
Is this one that you use, or is this just one that you're saying? Because every time he says something that he hasn't used in years, it's like, are you going to plug your MySpace page next week?
I was thinking
Nice.
of it.
MySpace should make a comeback. It really should.
It should, right?
And Facebook.
You
All
can
right.
put songs on it.
I am Captain Nicky Sullivan for the United Federation of Planets. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, live long and prosper.
And prosper.
Oh shit. I actually have to hit end broadcast.
I like ending with the and shit.